Level 1, the Yato. You're just a bandit. You grew up poor. Maybe your family lost their farm. Maybe you owed the wrong people money. Either way, you ended up running with a gang of thugs in the mountains. You steal rice. You shake down travelers. Then one day, a man approaches your group. He's well dressed. He speaks softly. He says he has work for you. Real work. Work that pays. You don't know it yet, but he's recruiting for a ninja clan. You're not being brought in because you're skilled. You're being brought in because you're expendable. Your job is rough work. You start fights in enemy villages to create distractions. You haul supplies up mountain paths at night. You might help burn down a warehouse or steal horses from a rival lord's stable. But here's the reality. You are not taught ninjutsu. You don't get the secrets. You don't get the training. You're hired muscle on probation. If you get caught by the authorities, the clan will deny knowing you. If you get executed, they'll recruit another bandit next week. You're taking all the risk for almost no money. How do you prove yourself? You keep your mouth shut. You do the dirty work without asking questions. You show discipline. If you can survive a year without getting yourself killed or arrested, maybe they'll consider actually training you. Level 2, the Kusa. You passed the test. Now you're a sleeper agent. The clan gives you a new identity. You are sent to live in enemy territory as a farmer, a merchant, maybe even a monk. Your job is to lie in the grass and wait. You don't wear black. You don't carry weapons. You live a completely normal life. You might spend 5 years tending rice fields. You might marry a local woman. You might have children. Your neighbors think you're just another villager, but you're not. You're waiting for a signal. One day, a traveling merchant passes through and says a specific phrase to you. That's your activation code. Suddenly, your entire peaceful life was a cover. You burn down the supply depot you've been living next to for 3 years. Or you open the castle gates at midnight so the real ninja can slip in. Or you poison the well that you helped dig. The psychological toll here is brutal. You live a double life for years. Some Kusa died of old age without ever being activated, taking their true allegiance to the grave. This was the most effective form of ninja warfare in feudal Japan. Not assassination, not climbing walls, patience. Level 3, the Minarai. You were born into this. Your father was a ninja. His father was a ninja. The clan has accepted you as an apprentice. You're maybe 8 years old when the real training begins. You memorize maps of every castle in the province. You learn to mix gunpowder from sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter. You practice taijutsu, which is unarmed combat, for hours every day. They teach you to dislocate your own joints so you can escape from ropes. They teach you how to starve for days without losing energy. They make you sleep on wooden floors to toughen your body, but you're still a servant. You carry the senior ninja's gear. You cook their food. You clean their weapons. You are strictly forbidden from taking independent action. One mistake and you're out. Not just out of the program, out of the family. You have no life outside this training. By the time you're 16, you've spent nearly a decade preparing for work you might never be allowed to do. Level 4, the Genin. You're an operative now. When people imagine ninjas climbing walls and assassinating targets, they're thinking of the Genin. You are the hands and feet of the organization. You do the physical work. You have no say in the mission plan. A superior tells you the target. You execute it. You might be told to infiltrate a castle and steal military plans. You might be told to kill a samurai advisor and make it look like an accident. You might be sent to sabotage an enemy's food supply before a siege. The Genin rarely knew who hired them, only what the mission was. This created a protection buffer. If you got captured and tortured, you could only give up your immediate handler, not the head of the clan. And if a mission failed, you were the one expected to die fighting or commit suicide to protect the clan's secrets. You carried a small blade specifically for that purpose. The pay was decent, but your life expectancy wasn't. Most Genin didn't make it past their 20s. Level 5, the Rappa. You're a specialized type of Genin, but louder. Instead of sneaking, you operate in groups during open warfare. Your job is chaos. You raid enemy camps at night. You steal their battle flags. You set fires in their supply lines. You scream and bang drums to make them think the attacking force is bigger than it is. The Hojo clan famously used Rappa as psychological warfare agents during the Sengoku period. You're less silent assassin and more guerrilla commando. You're rougher. You're more violent. You don't hide in the shadows. You create the shadows by making the enemy too terrified to leave their tents. The downside is you're exposed. Samurai consider you beneath contempt. If you're captured, they won't give you a warrior's death. They'll torture you publicly as an example. But the Rappa didn't care. You weren't trying to earn honor. You were trying to win. Level 6, the Saikugata. You're the engineer. Ninja were the primary users of gunpowder and siege explosives in feudal Japan. As a Saikugata, you're an expert in Kyaku Jutsu, the art of fire and explosives. While a Genin might scale a wall, you blow the wall up. You dig tunnels under castle fortifications. You set mines along roads. You rig traps that collapse entire buildings. Warlords paid enormous sums for Saikugata because you could end a siege in one night that would otherwise take months. You were highly educated in chemistry and mathematics, making you too valuable to risk in simple sword fights. The downside is the pressure. One miscalculation, and you blow yourself up along with your own team. One failed mission, and a warlord who invested heavily in your skills will have you executed for wasting his money. You didn't fight, you thought, and your thoughts were worth more than 100 soldiers. Level 7. The Chunin. You're a captain now. You no longer do the grunt work. Your job is to bridge the gap between the mastermind and the operatives. The head of the clan, the Jonin, receives a contract from a warlord. He passes it to you. You formulate the tactical plan. You select the team. You determine who's best suited for infiltration, who's best at explosives, who's expendable. Then you send them out. The Gonin working under you never meet the Jonin, they only meet you. This is a protection mechanism. If a Gonin is captured and tortured, they can only give up you, the Chonin. This keeps the head of the clan safe, but it also means you're the sacrificial layer. If the mission fails, you take the blame. If the mission succeeds, the Jonin takes the credit. You're middle management in the deadliest organization in Japan. Your job is to be effective and invisible. Level 8. The Oniwaban. You're an elite government spy now. Later in the Edo period, these were the shogun's personal secret service. Under the guise of gardeners maintaining the palace grounds, you guard the shogun and spy on his own officials to ensure loyalty. This is a high-status position. Unlike clan ninja who worked for money, Oniwaban worked for the state. You didn't serve a warlord, you served the government. Your job was to root out corruption, prevent assassinations, and monitor anyone who might pose a threat to the shogun's rule. You were the internal affairs officers of the samurai world, feared by corrupt politicians. The irony is that you're a ninja working for the very system that publicly despised ninja. But the shogun knew the truth. The samurai code was theater. Real power required people willing to do the dishonorable work. That was you. Level 9. The Jonin. You're the mastermind now. You almost never fight. You're a high-ranking samurai who negotiates contracts with daimyo, the warlords. You determine the strategic cost of a war. You calculate how much a murder is worth. You hold the entire network of spies in your head. A Jonin was often a respected figure in society who publicly appeared as a samurai advisor or merchant. Your ninja life is entirely secret. By day, you might advise a lord on military strategy. By night, you're orchestrating assassinations and intelligence operations across the country. You provide the funding and the political connections that keep the clan alive. One word from you and a rival warlord's entire supply chain collapses. One decision from you and a genin infiltrates an enemy castle. But you never touch a weapon. You never get your hands dirty. You are the brain. The chunin are the nerves. The genin are the muscles. Level 10. The soke. You are the head of the family. The grandmaster. You are the keeper of the scroll. You hold the secret techniques, the hidden, that are never written down, only passed orally from one generation to the next. Your word is absolute law within the clan. In times of peace, you transform the clan into a martial arts school to hide in plain sight. In times of war, you mobilize a private army. If you fail, centuries of knowledge die with you. You don't just command respect. You carry the weight of your ancestors and the responsibility for every future generation. There is no retirement. You hold this position until you die or pass it to someone worthy. And if no one is worthy, the clan ends with you. This is the life you chose. You started as a bandit hauling supplies up a mountain. You worked your way through assassination, espionage, and engineering. You commanded teams. You served the government. You negotiated with warlords. And if you survived long enough, you became the keeper of secrets that shaped the course of Japanese history. You were never supposed to be seen. You were never supposed to be remembered. But the world never forgot the shadow warriors who moved through the night, silent and unstoppable.